Hi. Hello. Hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3840, maybe 41, 42. I'm not really sure about the exact number. Okay. Today's date is January 29, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at 9:45 a.m. All right. Now let's just jump into the question. Okay. Let's go. Okay. The question is, what makes my perspective different even if my niche look crowded? Okay, that's a really good question. That's really good question. All right, yeah. First of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? This is a YouTube realization question. Like basically, it's this thing I ask this question to myself to kind of like something that I would realize that am I worthy enough to consider myself that am I YouTuber or not, or am I that particular person or not. Okay, these realization are very much essential for me, is because of that I would kind of like understand myself as a creator, that how much do I have knowledge regarding about my content, the YouTube and things and that, as well as when I ask this question to myself, I would know about the platform more regarding about YouTube, social media, how things work and things and that. Okay, yeah. Uh, these are very much essential. Like basically, it's this thing. If you consider yourself as a content creator, you shouldn't supposed to be just focus on your creativity. You should supposed to focus on multiple factors regarding about everything, like your content creation, your execution style, your things and that. And obviously I am not that particular person. Like I do know my creativity, I do know to execute creativity, but there are so many things that actually align. Okay, like basically as an artist and YouTuber are kind of like two different thing. Okay, kind of like doing the same thing, like they are kind of like showing their art pieces in front of the people, but being a YouTuber is a kind of like a different thing. Being an artist is also very different thing too. Okay, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like asking this question to I realize myself that am I worthy enough to kind of like said myself that am I YouTuber or not. All right, yeah. There is also a kind of like some this thing. Why I usually kind of like said, like why I kind of like somebody say this thing. Why am I asking this question to myself? Because I think that when I realize myself that when I ask question to myself and I kind of like directly give the answer, as a viewer you will not gonna understand that what I've been talking about, or what exactly answer is about, or what exactly question is actually about. One thing. Another thing is that when I kind of like somebody say that why am I doing this thing is very much essential for you, at least for me. Like basically is this thing I realize that whatever the work that we should supposed to be do, that work really requires why we are doing this thing, because that's a very much utmost essential thing, that why we do or why we do kind of like some sort of work. And I think that that is very much essential thing to ask that why question. Okay, yeah. So that's why I kind of like ask this why question every single time to me regarding about asking this question or any kind of like a stuff and things and that. All right, yeah. Now let's jump back to the question. The question says that wait question says that what makes my perspective different even if my niche look crowded. Okay. Okay, that's a very complex question. Okay, yeah. If you're not really understanding, there are a couple of things are kind of like something very much like a niche perspective. There are kind of like a very, I'm gonna kind of like a simplify it as simple as possible as it can. All right, yeah. So imagine you are went to fruit market. Okay, yeah. And in the fruit market, everyone are selling the fruits. Okay, yeah. Apple, mangoes, things and that. Okay, yeah. You also selling those fruits too. Okay, so basically is this thing what kind of like a makes you different than rest of the people who are kind of like a selling the fruits? Like probably nothing, na. Like they are kind of like a selling the fruits, you are also selling the fruits. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing when you are kind of like a doing your work in crowded where everyone are kind of like a doing your same work, then you will not visible that much. Okay, you will not visible that much. Visible means what? Visible means like that ki like basically is this thing na ki you have to be visible. Like imagine na you went to fruit market and there are multiples of kind of like a store are selling the fruits. So so for you, like as a viewer point of perspective, each store is nothing really different at all. Like it just, yeah, this is one store, this is another store, and things and that probably what you came for this fruit market, you wanted to buy the fruits, so you came here to kind of like buy the fruits and things and that, that's it. You don't really worry about the store and things and that, right? So basically is this thing na ki when you are kind of like a somebody selling a fruits in the kind of like a fruit market where everyone is kind of like selling the fruits, how you are kind of like so make sure you are visible. Okay, yeah, in this particular complex and in this particular kind of like a somebody crowded niche means like that a particular niche subject. Okay, yeah, for like a, okay, fruit market example that you understand. If you're not really understanding, I'm going to give you another example. Okay, yeah, so let's just say I make a content regarding about geopolitics. Okay, yeah, now there are so many people who kind of like make the content same topic. Okay, yeah, geopolitics and things and that. Okay, so what makes your content kind of like a something the kind of like a standby or kind of like a something higher than other or kind of like a something visible? What should you supposed to do this thing? You kind of like make sure that your thumbnail is really good, make sure your visual style is really good, make sure your style is really good and things and that, right? Like basically what exactly is this, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that key there is a something is a kind of like a special about you. Even if you are kind of like a selling the same fruit, or if you are kind of like a somebody creating a same piece of content, there is always a something special about you, always a something. Okay, yeah, that only you can see yourself. Okay, you just have to look from your point of perspective that how do I supposed to sell this fruit, or how do I supposed to sell my content from my point of perspective, or things and that. Okay, let me tell you one thing. There is a one point. Your point of perspective doesn't mean that everyone likes it. Okay, yeah, but it consider as a different, and when it consider as a different, people love to watch because they are unique in itself. Okay, yeah, so don't blame your style. Okay, your style is always unique. Okay, unique means what? Some people like it, some people may not. Okay, yeah, so do not force yourself to change your style. It's not. Okay, yeah, because it will kind of like a something that key, that authenticness will gonna go on. So stick with your kind of like a style, stick with your that key, whatever the style that you have. Now what is exactly style? A style means like that a unique thing. You have something, that unique thing. Okay, let me tell you one thing, what is exactly my unique thing. Okay, yeah, so basically is this thing, there are a couple of things that I know about myself, that I am not funny. Okay, I am not funny person. Okay, so basically is this thing, I shouldn't supposed to be execute any piece of content related regarding about funny, because this is not my scene, this is not my humor, this is not me. Okay, yeah, I am not funny. So basically is this thing that I shouldn't supposed to be execute such a piece of content that kind of like somebody relates with the funny, that I will not gonna match, like a comedian or gaming content creation, or kind of like a funny skit or things like that, because I am not funny person. Okay, I am like, I have very less humor regarding about that. Okay, I might gonna do little bit of humor and things, but I will have little less humor. So probably is this thing that I am not a kind of like somebody kind of like somebody mix in this particular thing. So I will not proceed, I would not push myself into that particular genre regarding about funny and comedy and things and that. I will not gonna do this thing. Okay, yeah, another thing is that I am really good at like a thinking very differently. Okay, I think from different point of perspective. uh, Now what's the different point of perspective means what? Okay, so okay, simple example, let's take this. Okay, if you are kind of like seeing this thing, that's a kind of like a common perspective that everyone does it. My perspective is that I would kind of like use this, or maybe this, or maybe this, or maybe kind of like something like that, or maybe I would kind of like simply change the perspective, kind of like a simply visual perspective regarding about different thing. This is my surrounding and stuff, and that and that and that. This is a kind of like a tree, this is the kind of like a something like that you are seeing, something like that. Or maybe I would kind of like change my perspective like this, like if I would kind of like something, I would know, I would kind of like do like that or something like that, or maybe something like this would be really good. Okay, yeah, like this perspective is really good. Like basically I'm kind of like looking at myself as a kind of like something higher perspective, like higher something like that. I don't know, low angle things like that. Okay, yeah, or maybe I would kind of like look like that, or maybe something. I don't know how do I supposed to explain this stuff. Okay, it's a kind of like a thing that na ki your perspective is always kind of like a bit more different than. Okay, so this is what I want. Okay, now the example that I tried to tell you regarding about this camera and things and that, it's a perspective means like that ki looking at your perspective, it doesn't mean that change your camera position things. No, it's not. Okay, yeah, it's not. How do I, it's a very hard to explain. Okay, yeah, so let me give you the kind of like some of the things. Okay, yeah, let me like let me kind of like there is a couple of incident actually happened. Okay, yeah, so one of my friend who is a kind of like a simply have a facing a problem. Okay, what kind of like a problem? He was kind of like saying this thing that he can't say no to people, and I was like, why you can't say no? Like he says that no, yeah, it's just like that. Nah, I just can't say no. Like when people kind of like said something to me, like ask something really help and things like that, I just always say yes and things like that. Even if the things is not kind of like something not possible, still I would kind of like somebody say yes to them. But and basically it's this thing now, I don't really understand his point of perspective. Okay, yeah, because let me give you the, like I understand his perspective, but I would not understand what he been through. Okay, I'm gonna give you examples so that you might gonna understand. Okay, so let's just say that someone ask, like you are kind of like doing your work. Okay, yeah, and suddenly your friend called and say this thing, bhai, I am kind of like going through a very trouble situation, would you help, would you come to my place? And what would be my answer? Like what is exactly my answer? My answer would gonna say this thing, bhai मैं थोड़ा सा busy हूँ, I'm kind of like busy right now, I will gonna come after some sort of time after I done my work. I will not gonna come right now. Okay, so this is my honest kind of like a things. Okay, yeah, if that particular person forced me, then I would kind of like say this thing, what is actually that work, what is actually trouble that you are kind of like going through, things and that. Like let's just say that that particular person is kind of like somebody lost his tire, or maybe kind of like his tire got punctured. Okay, yeah, so if that particular situation he really required help, really essential help, because he is in the emergency and that's why he called me. Okay, yeah, so in this particular context, I would kind of like somebody step outside my work. Like basically I would keep my work as a kind of like somebody pause for a while, I would go and help for him. Okay, yeah, why? Because it's an emergency. Okay, yeah, because in the emergency situation I would kind of like somebody rather kind of like give him more attention than kind of like doing my work. Okay, yeah, because understand the essential and importance, because at that time he might be kind of like a very trouble situation and he really required help quickly as important. So that's why I kind of like went there and had kind of like give me help. I kind of like give him help. Okay, yeah, but without any reason he was kind of like simply say this thing, bhai tu aaja ghar, like basically is this thing that na I'm kind of like boring, we just kind of like going somewhere and things and that, would you come? I would gonna say no, I have kind of like simply work, I would gonna kind of like spend that time with you after some sort of time, like things and that. Okay, like basically is this thing na, I try to understand the situation. Okay, yeah, and try to figure it out what is actually important for me at the moment. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing, my work is important. Okay, yeah, and I would kind of like give all my attention, everything to my work. Okay, yeah, let's just say my friend called and he says that, bhai aja, like we have to kind of like spend some sort of time kind of like going somewhere and somewhere, it's not really emergency. Would I go there? No, I would not gonna go there. I would kind of like focus on my work. I will gonna say I will gonna come back after some sort of amount of time, like after I done my work and things like that. Alright, yeah, if someone says this thing, bhai, I got the emergency, like basically I got the accident or something happened very worse, I really required help, so in that particular situation his is a priority. So I would kind of like pause this thing and I would kind of like go there and kind of like helping that and that. Okay, yeah, so basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, I understand what is exactly essential for me from my point of perspective, Obviously my work is always been important, I would kind of like a focus on that. But sometime the people are kind of like a bit in trouble situation, so I would kind of like a focus on that over here too. But but let me give you let me give you understanding. I'm kind of like a real opinion regarding about that. Do you understand this context? Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing, some people take advantage of you, or some people take advantage of your time. Example, okay, yeah, you are kind of like a doing your work, it's really essential for you, you are kind of like a focusing on yourself. Now the person who kind of like a say this thing, he has an emergency, he called today, you went there, you help, okay, fine, that's it. Tomorrow same situation happened, you will gonna say, dude, why is actually same thing happened? Like basically, dude, I have emergency, would you come, and things and that and that. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, why not, I will go there. Okay, yeah. Now third time next he called, dude, could you come? I was like, dude, what the fuck is your emergency? Nah, you should supposed to call me for the emergency. No, like he will gonna say, dude, this is also emergency too, would you come? Then I would gonna say, dude, I would not gonna come. Okay, I would not gonna come, I would not gonna help you because I have my work. Even if your emergency is that much higher, I would not gonna help you, I would kind of like focus on my work and things and that and that. Even if he been through very worst situation, I would not gonna do this thing. Why? Let me tell you one thing. When you help people, people will take advantage of you. People will take advantage of you. Everyone does, there is no wrong with that, everyone does it. Okay, yeah. And when the people are kind of like a bitterly comfortable to accepting help from somebody, then they are bitterly comfortable for accepting that help for all the time. They just want that help all the time. They just want that ki bhai aaja yaar, bhai there is emergency, aaja yaar, comes like a, give me help and things and that and that. Okay, in this particular situation, he always bother you and he will not respect your work. Let me tell you one thing, respect your work is really essential. Let me understand the context. Okay, yeah. One particular person, he got the emergency. Okay, yeah. He been through very trouble situation, things and that and that. Okay, yeah. He really required your help, but he do respect your work too. He do respect your work and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. So that particular person will gonna call maybe once or maybe nothing. Okay, because that particular person knows that you are a busy, or maybe you are kind of like a something going on and things and that. So this particular person will not gonna bother you all the time. Okay, it is not gonna bother you all the time. So that particular person will be kind of like a somebody understand and respect your work. But those people are very less. Okay, very less. Okay, very less people are actually exist to understand you or understand your work or understand or respect your work. Very less people. Okay, yeah. So if the people are always bothering you all the time and does not give you any kind of like respect regarding about your work and things and that, then these people are very wrong people. Very wrong people. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is my perspective looking at the world and things and that. I am not kind of like give you any kind of like something like a clarification regarding about people and things and that. You have to understand by yourself regarding about who you are, what kind of like a person that he is, and regarding about your situation and things and that. Okay, example, let me give you the perspective. It actually happened with me. Okay, yeah. So basically it's this thing that he usually I went to work out, I went to run every single day. Okay, yeah. Now basically it's this thing, I went to work out at 6:30 p.m. Okay, yeah. And I run. I do my workout in maybe kind of like a within a one hour, like a 7:30. That's it. 7:30 or at least like a 8 p.m. That's it. Till the 8 p.m. everything will gonna done. Okay, yeah. So at 8 p.m. I done my workout. I will gonna go home. Okay, yeah. But one of my friend who kind of like say this thing, भाई तू क्या घर पे जाके क्या करेगा dude? Yeah, like why are you kind of like going home? Like spend time with us. Like I came from like a very like after a very long period of time. So would you come? Would you spend time with that particular person? I would gonna say, dude, I already spent time with you till 8 p.m. Okay, yeah. I will not gonna push even more further. Why is that? Because my work is really essential for me. So I will gonna do that thing. Then that particular person says to me that भाई तू क्या यूट्यूब कर रहा है यार, वाई आर यू काइंड ऑफ लाइक डूइंग दिस यूट्यूब एंड थिंग्स एंड दैट, लाइक बेसिकली तू पैसा तो कमा नहीं रहा, लाइक यू आर नॉट अर्निंग एनी काइंड ऑफ लाइक मनी एंड थिंग्स एंड दैट, व्हाट डज मेक एनी सेंस एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. Then I realized that even if that particular person was one of my close person, very close people, okay, yeah, that I understand that thing, okay, people don't understand you or people don't understand your work, that is true. Even if that particular person is close, yes. Is those person wrong for me? No, not. But is this thing that particular person is just thinking about himself, because most of the people always think about themselves first, okay, first, you understand that thing, okay, yeah. There are very less people are actually exist in this world who think about others, even if I am not that person, okay. Because of that, ki when I kind of like think about my work, I think about my work, I am also kind of like something that ki my work is really essential for me, I would gonna do my work for me, okay, yeah, that is very much important for me, okay, yeah. So this is what it is, like there are very less people who are kind of like something is this thing that ki they just they just kind of like something is this thing that ki don't really respect other people and things and that, okay. Now those are good people, na, like those are good people, yeah, those are good people. I was that person too, but I changed. I kind of like learned to say no. I learned to say kind of like a little bit of tactical. I will kind of no, मैं मेरा काम करूँगा, भाड़ में जाओ तुम, okay, yeah. So basically is this thing ना कि I kind of like simply just uplift myself, okay. But there are so many people who always say yes to the other people. Why? Because they think, okay, they think that when I said no to someone else, other person might gonna hurt. When other person might gonna hurt, I feel wrong, okay. That's why they said yes. Still not really understand? I'm gonna give you another example, okay, yeah. Same person, like the person that I told you, that particular person is kind of like been through, like he can't say no. That particular person, he's been through same situation, like he can't say no to the people, he just can't say no to the people, he just like nah. He just kind of like somebody is saying he just don't want to go other, he don't want to kind of like spend time with that particular person, he don't want to kind of like somebody like waste his time and things and that, but still he can't say no to the people, okay, yeah. Now is this thing, when this thing actually happened, I kind of like give the advice that you should supposed to say no or practice and things and that, but still it takes time. Learning to say no, it takes time to understand all those possibilities and things and that. But whatever, okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, I understand this still. There are so many people are actually exist who can't say no, okay, yeah. So I thought that ki what if I could execute the piece of content from this scenario, okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing that ki like people can't say no, so how do I supposed to make content regarding about it? Like I'm actually kind of like started creating piece of content from other point of perspective, okay. I'm started creating, like I'm kind of like visualizing this thing that ki how do I supposed to kind of like something say no to the people and things and that, okay, yeah. So then what exactly happened that I was kind of like thinking about that, okay, yeah. Then I kind of like came home and things and kind of like watch bunch of YouTube videos and things and that. Not like I typically watch YouTube videos, okay, yeah. So in this particular, I watch a particular video. In this particular video, there is a particular person, a waiter who kind of like somebody, kind of like serving a food like this, like take this, okay, yeah. So basically this thing, what if I could kind of like somebody like this is kind of like stuck with me, like basically what if I would say no with very politely, okay, yeah. I would gonna say no to very politely, like basically I can't say yes, I wanted to say no, but how do I say no to the politely? So there is a kind of like a waiter, I kind of like I seen the YouTube videos, and there is a kind of like a waiter who kind of like serving a dish, okay, and he's been very politely, he's kind of like serving a dish and things like that. So what if I would kind of like somebody say no with politeness? So I think that a kind of like somebody waiter who kind of like serving a dish, and he open his dish and there is a no in that thing, like no, like this is what it is. and there is a click inside of me. Oh, this is the piece of content. I kind of like only went to the book, kind of like a draw the kind of like a only rough sketch. Okay, yeah, and it's like, dude, I have to make the content, and I make it, and it was like, oh my god, it's really good, really great. By the way, it's actually available on the Instagram platform. Like kind of like a somebody saying this thing, a no and things and that and that. It's a really legit. Okay, yeah. Like this is how I kind of like a somebody way of thought process regarding about the content creation, the way of kind of like a different perspective, the stuff that I'm kind of like a mention na ki look from different point of perspective. So this is what I kind of like a talk about, a different point of perspective. Think about different point of perspective. It always be there, always be there. Like basically my different point of perspective is a kind of like a thing from different point of perspective. Okay, yeah, I kind of like get inspired from memes and things and that. Like usually there are so many memes. Okay, yeah, and memes are also really kind of like a really essential for me to kind of like understand what is actually people been through, because memes are kind of like a somebody serving the same piece of content. Okay, yeah, I get the idea, I execute, and I make this thing. So different perspective, you always have kind of like a different style regarding about execution and things and that. Okay, yeah, so I just look from that point of perspective and execute my piece of content. So this is how I kind of like a something just stand by, or maybe kind of like a somebody just like a visualize myself differently than others and things and that, right? This is how I think, and this is how I kind of like somebody my different perspective regarding about my work. But regarding about the question says that what make my perspective is actually different, even if the niche looks kind of like a crowded. Now regarding about my piece of content, my piece of content is not a crowded place. Okay, there are very less people who kind of like make this kind of like a piece of content. Okay, yeah, so I am kind of like a lucky, by the way, to kind of like execute this piece of content. And as also there is very less people who are kind of like working on this niche, so it is really good. And as also I have very different point of perspective and things and that. But why you not getting any kind of like something like that key views and things and that is because of that key like my content is not reach to those people and things and that. Okay, as I mentioned, this is the kind of like a visual storytelling. It's a very new perspective, and when you are say it's very new perspective, then people are kind of like only very less to consume and things and that. So yeah, alright, so this is just my kind of like some understanding. By the way, I am kind of like only like middle of the kind of like some question. I kind of like give the life lesson regarding about the kind of like how do I say no and things and that. Okay, yeah, basically it's this thing that it like basically I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing, but I seen the world from my point of perspective, and that's why I kind of like somebody execute not only the piece of content but understanding the life. Because like basically it's not just about just a pieces of content. I realize a lot there are so many people actually bothered by so many things. Okay, yeah, and sometimes now when I understand that stuff, I know more about the world, more about the people, and more about myself too. Okay, because when I try to compare the world, I compare myself too, that am I that particular person or not. And that realization is actually happened with me, that I am not that person. I am not a yes person. I said no person. I said no. Okay, yeah, but I understand the importance and context and things and that. I figure it out what is actually essential and non-essential for me, kind of like a compare both of thing, and then okay, so yeah, so this is it. Thank you.